Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Recreating Connections, a recreation resource podcast. I'm your host, Alex Cadet. I'm the outreach coordinator with NC State RRS, and I have my co-host with me, Holly Henry.
Hello, hello. I'm Holly Henry. I'm the University Program Associate for Recreation Resources Service, and I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, yes. And today we have a special guest with us. We have Mary Bowie, who is Therapeutic Recreation Manager with the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission.
That's correct. Very
There we
good.
go. There we go. There we go. And we're happy to have you on today. I know you know a lot as far as the therapeutic recreation field, and we are grateful to have you.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, yes. And I just want to first start off by just getting into your background. I know Parks and Recreation has a lot of ways you can go, but what made you get into the therapeutic recreation side of things?
Wow. Well, we'll try to make this short, but I don't think, well, most of us may not have found a straight path to this profession. So, um, typically that's how it works out. I started in social work with specializing in adult and family trauma, and I love people. I love serving the community and others. I have a passion for people, especially the underdog, if you will. And that particular line of work was very um, emotionally draining, and it just wasn't quite fitting my personality. So I had switched gears and changed directions and went to um, transferred schools to attend the Recreation and Leisure Administration with therapeutic recreation and community recreation emphasis from York and in Pennsylvania. And what an amazing transition. It has a lot of the same, feel good rewards for public service, but you have the most amazing way to deliver those services through play and leisure opportunities. And it's been so rewarding. And it was the best decision I ever made to make that change. And I've been happy and a therapeutic recreation specialist for like this is my 30th year.
Great, great. Yeah, and briefly, like I know y'all have done a lot over there. Could you just discuss the accolades and milestones that your department has accomplished within therapeutic recreation throughout this time?
Wow. What
I know, where do you start, right?
we just I'm laughing because I'm so proud of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, and specifically their programs, their disability services that started providing special services to individuals with disabilities through adaptive aquatics and programs in 1974. So this past June through July, all the way through till December, we celebrated 50 years of services. And we've had many of great milestones along the way. Our program has grown initially from 74 from one career staff to this year. We now have 23 career therapeutic recreation specialists on our team. I think it might be one of the largest in the country.
Yeah, that's that's huge. And which kind of just oh man, just leads me into my next question as far as like just I know us working in North Carolina, I know we have a bunch of smaller departments that, probably can't do as much as y'all do with y'all's programming and things like that. Um, what do you think a smaller department could do just to, I mean, not necessarily do as much or as large as a scale if y'all have done things, but how can they kind of just do enough to kind of cater to therapeutic recreation field or to people with disabilities, that community?
I think that's a great question because there are a lot of one man shows or one person shows as throughout Parks and Recreation and in the country that might be tasked with this work in addition to, you know, whatever their other um job might entail, it seems. So that's a good question because it might be an added assignment. Really, it starts at the top, like no matter the size of your agency, that they're committed to the philosophy, that you have the key stakeholders buy in, that it's not only the legal obligation, but it's the right thing to do. And then to really put some policies in place that help to identify how patrons are going to be welcomed or how can they notify you that they would need an accommodation or a modification to participate and establish those policies and then put those things into practice. Training, training, training. And there's so much free training out there that everybody can find online or to show to their staff at all levels, from the person at the front desk and folks delivering programs all the way to the directors of the department. Training's about, you know, to have that open mind and welcoming mindset to work to remove barriers, physical barriers, programmatic barriers, and especially attitudinal barriers. I think is something that they can definitely proactively do to have that interactive process set up and then have effective trainings and include people of all different demographics in the marketing materials. Help the community to know that they are welcome and that they can find people in your brochures that look like them.
Right, right. And I always say, it's more so about like being intentional with access and inclusion. And so with that, I know y'all do a lot of programs there. Could you touch on some of the programs that you all have conducted that have been a hit in your community?
Oh wow, yeah. Well, I had mentioned the anniversary, and one of the things, the first two programs that were started in 74 that still operate to this day are the bowling leagues that we have are hugely popular. And have been for the past 50 years, and also aquatic programs, adaptive aquatic programs, family swim programs, all things you know, aquatics have been super, super popular with lots of wait lists. So we've even expanded that particular we that was one of the newest staff we have is the addition of an adaptive aquatics personnel to meet that need. Um, we have some amazing playgrounds that are imagination playgrounds that we're really proud of. I think our agency, we have a Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies program for veterans with disabilities that's hugely popular, that continues to really grow. Um, and our dances, everybody loves dances, but I want to tell you just about the Choices program that we have. It's actually up for an award this year at our state conference. It was designed directly to meet the needs of adults in the community that are over 18 years old, that need leisure opportunities throughout the daytime, that when they don't have the sheltered workshops or these other places to go that traditionally that you may have thought that, you know, people have those opportunities, they don't. So they really are looking for that daytime opportunities. And we've had the great success to have. I wrote that number down. Let's see. We've had over like 2,000 people with registrants participate in those adult daytime programs and specialties and events since that program started last year.
Wow, that's great. So what's that award again? I'm sorry. That award that you're
Oh,
up for?
it was it's with the Maryland Recreation and Parks Association.
Yeah.
It's the Innovative Program Award for 2024.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, I mean, I was a recreation programmer for, I don't know, years. And my question is on your end, how do you go about like does an idea pop into your head when you want to add a new program, like, or do you seek kind of public input first and have them kind of suggest something, or how do you go about it as a programmer just implementing new things?
Well, that's a great question. I think it often comes in a combination of ways. Um, Definitely public input. Our entire mission is to meet the changing needs of the community. So as something changes, then we develop those programs, like the Choices program. Um, for adults that had nowhere to go that have intellectual developmental disabilities. So that was a direct public need. There's also just taking a look at wait lists. If there's lots of wait lists for these swim lessons or day camps or programs, then we know that we should be doing more of them. We do task our staff with coming up with innovative or creative ideas. We're strongly supportive of professional development and we're very fortunate to have adequate funding. So sometimes they are able to we'll do what we call a try it clinic or program where it might be a one-off to see how families like it or patrons to see if we should continue that. Um, but mostly from the public's feedback, yes.
Got you. Okay, great. And yeah, it's kind of leading back to just being intentional about access and inclusion. I want to kind of discuss on as far as staff, front-facing community. I know the importance of language and how that is addressing people with disabilities. Could you speak more to that on how front-facing staff members can make sure they're privy to the proper language on how to address people? Because ultimately, uh, they're seen first. Makes people want to join the programs and be a part of your department. So could you speak more to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that the importance of language or having that smiling, welcoming face when somebody comes in to your program or your facility. So, disability or not, then that is core just to training that every new hire and then every existing staff, seasonal as well, goes through customer service training. And to be able to, you look up, you say hello.
Hmm.
You
Right.
welcome folks. And then we also teach departmental ADA training and customer service sensitivity awareness. Um, we have a large team where the facility staff are able to make a call or reach out if they have a question, but we really want to empower them to make every effort they can right there to try to help the patron that's before them, disability or not. So they shouldn't have to ask us, make extra calls or do extra things. We're really working hard to train and teach the importance of language and addressing people by their name. Um, and just keeping the rest of it secondary. There is a question that they ask when they register for Parks Direct if they have a disability. That is another piece of the customer service training.
Hmm.
Um, to help the folks to feel comfortable with even asking that. Believe it or not, I think initially they may not have felt overly comfortable like asking that. And it was like, that's perfectly fine to ask that. That helps us to be notified when folks registered so they don't have to do any extra steps, and can just participate as anyone else.
Absolutely, absolutely. I recently had kind of the privilege to go on an ADA audit with Carla Gray here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and saw how much goes into kind of the facility side on making sure that everything is accessible to people with disabilities and things of that nature. Um, I know it may not be your area of expertise, but could you speak to more like the transition plan aspect, just or basically just how it's important that you know make sure your facility is accessible all times throughout the year, just to make it a welcoming place for everybody.
Yeah, that's a really big one, Alex. The transition plan that's required for Title II entities, state and local governments, to then reassess all of their policies, procedures, practices, and their facilities to take a deep look into those to identify where there could be barriers to full participation. Um, it's a full agency effort, for an agency as large as ours, because it does. You're totally correct that it includes all aspects. So you have to have the planners and the architects and those folks that are doing physical audits to identify architectural barriers that exist in our current infrastructure, and then identifying plans for renovations of those, what year they're going to try to do that, how we can fund that. A very, very large effort for the physical side. There's also the pieces I oversee the department's programs and services for individuals with disabilities. So that includes all of our operations, staff manuals, standard operating procedures needed to undergo that same type of audit to identify if there's barriers to programmatic participation and how we can adjust those things, to include training, and as well as the webmaster and the registration teams, and every single piece of what we do has to be compliant. So, and for a smaller agency, it's like totally more doable in a smaller amount of time, you would think.
Hmm.
And you don't have to fix everything right away, but you got to have a plan, and you got to start with identifying where those barriers are. So your recommendation is perfect, for folks to make it a priority. And then use resources. There are so many free resources where you can go and get the Department of Justice checklists. You can print them out, or you
Absolutely.
can, to be able to do it yourself, or give it a shot, if you don't happen to have the consultant funding. Department of Justice is looking for you to have a good faith effort. You're at least trying. If you haven't completed it, it's in process would be the better response.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I just want to pivot now. Um, I know a lot of colleges and universities are no longer offering degrees like Parks and Recreation Management or Therapeutic Recreation. Um, how can a student that doesn't have that option in undergrad go about getting into your field, and doing the things that you do?
That's a really great question too. I've had a lot of concerns about this topic in the last few years. We did some research, and it's a lot of schools were changing their curriculum or ending some of their programs, and um, so that's a really important, challenge right now to try to address, to identify how we might be able to find these qualified candidates for our programs. Recreation and leisure administration, those degrees, if they have that, sports management, special education, um, vocational rehab, if some of those types of degrees are out there potentially. But you're right. It's kind of like it's very important that the colleges and the schools and that we work together to try to advocate to have the curriculums in the colleges to be able to meet the growing needs in this field.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the next step as far as at least on our state level, just to make sure that's offered. Because it goes a long way, obviously, and does great work in the community as well.
Your state is actually one of the best ones.
Yeah.
So a shout out to you guys that you actually have a lot of exceptional academic programs that support therapeutic recreation. So a lot of my interns and some of my staff come out of North Carolina.
There we
So
go. There we go.
you got to help us advocate to push it up the East Coast and across.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, you said you mentioned interns, so internships would be the route to go. Obviously, seeking your certified therapeutic recreation specialist credentials as well. Things of that nature, right?
Yes, and the internships are a great learning experience. If you happen to be in a field that doesn't require, well, if you're not in a therapeutic program, it's probably not going to have an internship that requires a CTRS,
Hmm.
but you could still try to find one. And, I think that would help them as they might take additional classes or a graduate class to be able to then later sit for that test if that wasn't their undergraduate degree. I have some occupational therapists that work with me right now. We have, you got to look at some other options sometimes and that some of it does cross over. And then, like you're saying, you try to have the classes where folks can go and take a few so they can really round out that experience to be, to have those skills they need for the API.
Great. This is a great conversation, and obviously, I feel like we could have like 2 or 3 episodes with you about the therapeutic recreation field. But I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're busy up there. Honestly, I want to circle back again eventually, and we would love to have you back on to discuss more topics and maybe have people send questions in for you so that you can answer them as well.
That would be great. I'd be honored.
Great. So we'd like to thank everybody for listening. And this will be available on YouTube and as well as
Spotify.
Spotify. There we go.